Hello and welcome to this edition of Tech24. I'm Julia Seeger. Have you ever heard of NFTs or non-fungible tokens? If not, this is the time to tune in because this virtual market of collectibles is booming, ushering in a new world in which people are ready to pay millions of dollars for short clips that could be viewed for free. Collectors, sports fans, and art lovers are already hooked. We'll tell you more in a short moment. And in Test 24, we try a collaborative robotic arm developed by the French company Nerio, which is set to democratize robotics. But first, key elements of the fossil known as Littlefoot, a nearly complete example of the human forerunner that inhabited Africa 3.67 million years ago, were brought from South Africa to Britain in complete secrecy about 2 years ago. There it was scanned by Oxford's synchrotron particle accelerator, revealing insight into the biology and the hardships encountered by Littlefoot's species. Brian Quinn has more.
Futuristic technology peering deep into the past. Littlefoot is the name given to a 3.5 million year old fossilized female skeleton of one of humankind's closest prehistoric relatives, Australopithecus. 2 years ago, her skull left its home in South Africa. It was brought to England under complete secrecy, accompanied by an armed guard and by Ron Clark, the paleontologist who led Littlefoot's 20-year-long excavation process.
3.67 million years ago, this little female Australopithecus was in a forested area of what is now known as the Sterkfontein Caves, and for some reason, she fell into the cave.
That prehistoric stroke of misfortune would become a massive lucky break for modern scientists. Her skeleton, one of the most complete pre-human fossils ever discovered. But it's also extremely delicate, so researchers brought her skull to the synchrotron particle accelerator at the Diamond Light Source facility near Oxford. There, they used concentrated X-rays to peer inside the bone without physical contact.
You can really see the different tissues, the proportions, the thickness, and also the size of the different canals. So all of this make, I think for me, make Littlefoot more like a living person.
The data collected, 7 terabytes worth, has enabled scientists to extrapolate hypotheses on Littlefoot's diet, her age, and crucially, how the composition of her skull could have played a key role in the tripling of brain size between Australopithecus and Homo sapiens.
And we're going to keep on talking about our ancestors and genealogy. And to do so, we're going to welcome our tech editor, Peter O'Brien. Hello, Peter.
Hi, Julia.
So we actually talked about deepfakes at the start of November, but there's so much going on in that particular domain that we're going to come back on that. Some of our viewers may have seen on social media people bringing back from the dead their relatives with deepfakes.
Yeah, so you might know about the online genealogy platform MyHeritage. Well, their marketing team has hit the big time with a tool called Deep Nostalgia, and what it allows you to do is upload any headshots and bring it back to life. So I've got here 2 of my distant relatives. So on the left here is my great grandmother Rosie on my mum's side, and on the right, apparently it's my great grandmother Catherine on my dad's side. So let's take a look at what happened when I plugged them into the machine.
Okay. That's quite uncanny.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel to see your ancestors come back?
I have to say it's very creepy, but I think all the more so because I don't think I'd quite believe that these were real people. I mean, obviously this one's a painting on the right, but on the left, I don't think I'd see that was a video of a real person. I mean, you look how the face kind of slips a little bit as the AI tries to approximate the angles it's being viewed from. But you might have noticed online in the last few days, Tom Cruise going around as a deep fake. So this has appeared on Twitter after the TikTok channel Deep Tom Cruise put up these really quite startling deepfakes of the actor. Now, the team behind it hasn't revealed their secrets yet, but what we can tell is obviously the impersonator is very, very good, and he must surely look a lot like Tom Cruise as well.
Right.
That allows them to superpose a really convincing deepfake on him, even putting on a hat and sunglasses. I mean, that's remarkable. I've not seen that before.
It's very impressive indeed to see how much these deepfakes have evolved in the last few weeks only. And some are actually arguing today that they could really start messing with people's mental health. Thank you very much indeed for that, Peter. We're going to move on to a whole other story. From art to sports trading cards, people are spending millions of dollars on digital collector's items. These crypto collectibles, known as NFTs, have exploded in popularity since the beginning of the pandemic. A video clip created by digital artist Beeple, for instance, was flipped for a record $6.6 million last week. There are a couple of things to get your head around before you can actually understand non-fungible tokens. And once again, we're going to turn to our in-house expert, Peter. Peter, what does fungible mean?
Yeah, so I think that's a good question. It's nothing to do with mushrooms, although it sounds like it. It comes from economics, where a fungible asset is one whose parts are interchangeable and indistinguishable from one another. So gold, for instance, is a fungible asset because gold is gold no matter what form it's in. Diamonds, on the other hand, are non-fungible because they come in lots of different cuts and colors and shapes. And a non-fungible token then is a digital asset, which is unique and not interchangeable either. So even if many replicas exist of it, there's only one true original version. I've got a GIF here, which is of course a copy. This is not the original one, but the original was sold a couple of weeks ago for more than $500,000. How do we know it's the true NFT and the true version of this GIF? Well, because the information about the owner and the purchase is stored on a blockchain. And if you're not sure what a blockchain is, well, we're gonna have to leave that to another time because I don't have all day.
It is indeed a little bit complex, but there is a special edition of Tech24 about blockchain if you want to go check it out on our website. Now, NFT enthusiasts say they fix a huge problem with the internet, the fact that artists aren't getting paid for the distribution of their content online. Meanwhile, critics see the NFT craze as another potential speculative frenzy, a bubble that could eventually burst. Well, we're going to keep on digging into the subject of NFTs with our guest, John Egan, CEO at L'Atelier BNP Paribas, a data-driven foresight business investigating new markets emerging at the intersection of technology and social change. Hello, and thanks for being here.
Hi, Julia.
So just to make sure that our viewers really grasp the concept, let's just go back on what NFTs are exactly.
Well, NFTs are a way of creating a unique digital asset. So an image, a video, a song, a key, digital land, a game item, or a data stream. It can be anything. The NFT just refers to the fact that it is unique. We can track the provenance of it, and that it can be discerned from replica copies of it. People can then use that NFT to trade and make money off the transaction of that NFT, both now and in the future on the same NFT. At the moment, obviously, there is a surge of interest in the space.
Now, precisely, John, the sector has surged to become a $3.44 billion sector in the last few months. What has caused the recent surge in interest, would you say?
Well, people are certainly fascinated by the extraordinary amounts that NFT art is finding online. Obviously, Beeple is the example, but there are myriad other examples at the moment. It is only, though, the first step. People may remember from 2017, there was a similar craze in the NFT space when CryptoKitties were being sold for in excess of $150,000. So that collectible space has been the precursor to what is surely going to become part of the economic infrastructure of the digital space over the next decade. I think part of the reason for that is this new asset class has emerged at a time when people are spending significantly more time online. The consequences being that we are prescribing more value to digital assets that we own than ever before.
Now, what does the future hold for NFTs?
Well, the future of NFTs, in our view, is inextricably linked with other emerging technologies like mixed reality lenswear, spatial computing, and Internet of Things. In the future, we expect that people will be able to interact with virtual landscapes that sit on top of the real world, that infrastructure that exists around us. So each one is unique to an individual user based on their profile. So within this world, we expect to see a plethora of new opportunities for artists and content creators, and NFTs will provide that economic capacity to create these worlds. The immediate future has already been signaled, most recently by the band Kings of Leon, actually releasing a full album as an NFT, and we expect to see more bands, more artists, both in the music and art space, but also in sports and business begin to interact with NFTs in a similar way.
And we'll be following that closely. Thank you very much, John Egan, the CEO of L'Atelier BNP Paribas, for that. And it's time for Test 24. On the set of Test 24 today, we have a robot developed by the French company Nerio, which could be another step towards democratizing robotics. Its name is Ned.
Yeah, that's right. So let me introduce you to the concept of collaborative robots, or cobots. These are robots that are smart enough and safe enough to work alongside humans in the same space. So not like those big, scary industrial production robots. And because they are collaborative in this way, they're great for educational purposes. But we're only just starting to see them become affordable enough for schools and universities. And we've got one here. It's called Ned, as you say, and it's a sort of miniature-sized industrial robot, and it's based on open source software. So that makes it a great teaching tool, but also great for prototyping bigger projects. For instance, if you're developing some object recognition software, you can install a camera onto it, and you can teach it to pick up the right objects in the right way.
Now, what about the cost? Because I know that they've been slashing costs to make it accessible.
Yeah, that's right. So this one is 2,500 euros. So obviously it's not going to be folding your clothes at home or anything anytime soon, but it is really being introduced into lots of education establishments. Another good use could be workshops. Other companies are at the same thing. So the Chinese company Dobot has released a slew of different models with different attachments and prices, all sorts of different robots. They can do things like sorting, picking, soldering, engraving, and again, you know, probably out of the range of the a home user, but definitely an opportunity for businesses, workshops, teaching establishments.
It's also a great example of cobot. Thank you very much, Peter. It brings us to the end of this week's edition of Tech 24. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.